Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iyori Folani. Okay, we come back. We come back, as it were. We sort of cycle back to a conversation that we've had in the past, but then there's an update because the Minister of Education, speaking at the most recent annual sort of conference that they have about these matters, have said that, you know what, now we will be admitting students into tertiary institutions from the age of 16. And this is final, and we don't want to hear anything about it anymore. Apart from known special children, government says it knows about those, and that our allowances have been made for that, the few cases of that. But what we now have is that the brouhaha that accompanied the setting of the age of 18 has now been adjusted, and as the minister has said, Dr. Alausa, this is how it is going to be. We're not negotiating it. We're not talking about it anymore. Okay, my guest is Dr. Sylvester Enome, and he's an educational management consultant. Also is a former director of education in the Lagos State Ministry of Education, Education District 5. A fine morning. Good morning for coming on, and thank you very much.
Good morning. Happy to be back.
Okay, let me just say that Jake is also ready. Dr. Jake Ekpele. Dr. Jake Ekpele, you know, is a consultant. And oh, good to see you, Jake, as always in your bowler hat, looking quite dandy. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Uncle. Good morning.
Thank you very much, sir. So I've just set the lie of the ground. The Minister of Education says, no negotiation. We shall now admit students into our universities, tertiary institutions generally, from the age of 16. And I've just finished introducing your colleague on the program, Dr. Sylvester Enome. Okay, since you've come and you're joining us remotely, let me stay with you. Let me stay with you for a while. Happy now? I guess that's what I should be asking. Are you happy now?
Well, if that question is for me,
yes.
Yori, I've always been happy, and of course you know that I'm a member of the National Council on Education. So it's not new. It's something that many institutions like JAM has been proposing. But the flip side to it, which is to me one of the things that I will say that the leadership of President Bola Tinubu is flexible, and that's what leadership entails. You know me. When I know that it is necessary to critique them, I will. When it's necessary to praise them, I will. And in this context, I think they deserve some praise because the flip side to the laws or rules mandating 16-year-old is that the exceptional children that have been discovered can also be admitted in spite of that age. But there's a lacuna. You know the problem with Nigerians. We try to look out for loopholes and exploit that loophole. So what will be the criteria for exceptional child?
Okay.
You know,
especially gifted children.
Going to go and put up stories and claim that their child is exceptional, and as such, push them into the tertiary institution. I think there's something we need to also understand here, the psychology of the child.
Yes.
A child who is not properly formed, you push them into the university institution, which is an institution for adults, you know. It has its own flip side, and it can take a toll on the child. I'm not a psychologist, but I know what I'm saying, having been in the education sector for a very long time. So it's a very good and laudable initiative, but they need to be careful, especially in the area where they're giving exception. Otherwise, some parents can exploit that.
All right.
To the detriment of the child.
Okay.
You know, but here we are. I think it's a good development, a step in the right direction, and we'll watch and comment as it unveils.
the policy decision, they say it reflects a balance between cognitive maturity and academic preparedness.
If you can hear me, the volume is so low, I'm not hearing your...
You are very correct.
Okay.
You see, the last time we met in respect of this 18 years, which the former Minister for Education, Professor Tahid Mama, insisted on anyway, in quote, so many Nigerians were actually against that 18 years. Because before you get to that 18, some students, some learners must have left the secondary school at 15, 16, and 17. So with this new policy now by the federal government, I know definitely it's a very great one. You see, Dr. Tunji Alausa is a man who always believes in listening to people, taking the best of the alternative for the decision-making aspect. That time I told you when we met here that 18 years is not really okay for everybody, because some learners will leave their secondary school by 15 and 16. The exceptionally gifted children, that is where the issue is. I know some of them will still be around 14, 13 or so. That time I gave example of the Mafidon children, who actually at 19, 9 years, 10 years, 11 years, they've broken records in mathematics and the rest. So this policy of 16, federal government putting the age for admission into tertiary higher institution at 16 is just very laudable.
Okay, because
it's laudable, it's okay.
Indeed, and something that Dr. Pelle was bringing up is that, look, we just have to be sure that they don't game the system. Nigerians don't game the system, because parents have been surprising in the things that have been unveiled about their efforts, you know, in support. That is the way they look at it, in support of their wards, their children, all sorts of ruses, devices, try to manipulate ages, certificates, get fake certificates. I mean, you can get... So Dr. Pelle didn't exactly go into specify that, but I know that must be what's playing on his mind.
Yes, like this, you know, Nigeria factors will always come in, but definitely with the statement of the Minister for Education yesterday, that is Dr. Tunji Alausa, he said 16 years is non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable.
In this case, he's going to put so many machineries in motion to make sure there are checks and balances.
Indeed.
Because some of the universities, they are at times trying to be very smart when it comes to, I know this person is 15 years, he could cope up because of the background and the rest. No, even if you look at the age, the specificity of the age, a child enters the primary school, maybe government school, by 4. Spends 6 years in the primary school, then 3 years in junior and 3 years in secondary, senior secondary, which is 6 years. 6, and 4 is even the 16 years.
Indeed.
So it really match it up.
It does.
When you look at it's according to the issue to balance the cognitive maturity of the learners and the academic preparedness. So in this case, cognitive maturity is there. You are now balancing it with academic preparedness. So in this case, I don't think 16 years old child is too young to be in the university.
Indeed. And Dr. Kwele, the points that you brought up about some people trying to be clever by half, I'm sure the authorities, the education authorities, they must have standard procedures for evaluating, measuring special children with special cognition. I mean, I think in the abroad, I think there's something called Mensa, where that's how you can know if a child is a genius or not. Let's face it, if a child in his early teens, if a child at the age of 12 or 13 is able to solve university level mathematical problems, surely there must be a system that will measure that this one is not a normal child. We need to handle this one differently so as not to hold him back. The minister said all these cases are known and have been prepared for. Are you satisfied that we have what it takes to police that area that is your concern well enough?
I think yes. There are several mechanisms and methodology to evaluate a gifted child. There is a scientific approach where there are scientific measures that are undertaken to prove the genuineness of the child, if it's a genius or not. They also, the oral interview methodology, where someone will sit down and just talk to the child, and you can pick up the pieces of the talent of this particular child. I mean, I have a 8-year-old boy that reasons like a 15-year-old, and my son can engage you in conversation. So you just know that this guy has something that is extraordinary. I mean, at 8, he's playing football with other children who are like 15, you know. So you just know it when you meet a child like that. And my son can sit down and name 50 best players across the world, you know. So such gifted children, there are methodologies to know their areas of strength. And I think all of that must be taken into consideration. I think the current Minister of Education, unfortunately, I haven't been able to meet with him, seems to be very serious-minded, strategic in his thinking, and I pray that he will be strategic in his acting. So that said, there are yardsticks to measuring those things. And but besides, when you speak to a child who is a genius, you just know it by what that child is saying and what that child is doing. So of those measures, if they implement them, then we'll be able to stem the tide of these corrupt parents who wants to impose their child or claim their child is not what the child is, you know. So there must be a moral high ground for parents who are going to get involved in this claim. And I think also, I know for sure, because I'm one of the special needs or special needs invigilators for the special examination. So there's a way we tackle this thing, and we're able to pick up students who are exceptionally gifted, and every provision to ensure that their gift is fully maximized. We follow that, you know. So that said, I am sure if they implement all of these measures, we should be able to probably ensure that some crooked parents, and I'm not saying every parent is, but there are some bad parents who wants to push their children, people who believe in the so-called miracle center. They would rather pay money for their child to pass exam instead of allowing their child to go through the process. I have a word a few years ago. She didn't pass JAM, even though I know Professor Oluyode and everything. I didn't have to go to them, and I said, go back, receipt, and he did, and he's in the university as we speak. So these are, you know, facts of the matter. These are real texted cases, and I think all of that should be activated. Again, I think it's a very good policy. Don't worry if you're a viewer thinking about implementation. Implementation will be a smooth sail. Besides, this is an opportunity for NGOs, my organizations, you know, other organizations that are working within the education space, to really interrogate the matter and begin to create your own mechanism and yardstick to pursue this thing, so that we can help government get this thing done, instead of just being critical and you don't have a constructive, your criticism may not be constructive, and you don't have a solution. This is my take. I believe that if I find a problem, I should find a solution before I start talking about that problem. And that has been my strategy. I don't just criticize what government is not doing well. I also provide solution. And the solution here is the NGOs, those in the education sector, the international community. We need to work together hand in hand to ensure that this is a successful policy and in terms of implementation.
Okay.
And even
Dr. Nema, coming to you, the
so
other point that I wanted to find out is that because you are an educational management consultant, you will be aware of structures that are in place. I talked about Mensa abroad. I don't know if we have its counterpart here, but there must be a way to highlight and really, separate specially gifted with very highly, elevated cognitive abilities. Are there within the ministry in your time and now? Do those systems exist? Where and how does it work? Is it your school? Is it a school that will find out that this guy he's in Form 1 or Form 2, but these are school certificate mathematical questions that he's answering? Are there procedures for that kind of a thing?
Yes, you see, in schools, if we really want to take integrity as a yardstick, the principals, the class teachers, the year tutors, the HODs, they know students that are exceptional.
Okay.
And quality assurance unit in all the Ministry of Education, they are equally there to make sure that these things are really brought out for recognition.
Okay.
Like if you see an exceptional child like that, you put a memo to the educational district,
okay,
or to the inspectorate or monitoring and investigation. These people will come and look at this aspect. Then they will recommend. You see, as Dr. Ekpele has just said, the parents should be appealed to. Their conscience should be appealed to, because they are the one that will always, send the salt to the market and equally send the rain along. So the parents should be made to know, look, let this thing work. Luckily, the Minister for Education, Dr. Tunji Alao, is a man who believes in due process.
Okay.
He's a very thorough person.
Okay.
So this quality assurance in different ministries will have to investigate it to make sure things are done and done appropriately well. Like this aspect of parents trying to cut corners, you cannot rule that one out. But the principals of schools and the rest, they should know. And the court too should help us know that this affidavit, everyday declaration of age and the rest for children will come up this time around, because they will not want their child to get to this, and they will continue to declare different ages for them. So
we have to have a way to sort all that.
You see, that is
rubbish
why there is National Orientation Agency, NOA. They should continue to let the people know the importance of this policy. Because if this policy is mistakenly tampered with along the line, it will affect everything.
Well, fortunately,
it will affect everything. If you look at NEFON now, I'm very happy that in televisions and the rest, they are advertising it. They are letting people know the importance of NEFON. That is what they should continue. The National Orientation Agencies and the NGOs should help to really propagate this aspect of this federal government pegging the age for admission at 16.
Okay.
16 is a laudable age, and it's just okay.
And it just works.
Yes,
since you worked it out, you start at the age of 4.
6. That is 16.
Yes.
And that is what people were clamoring for. Because I remember the last time I came in here, when I was against that 18 is too big and all these things. I put into consideration that 4, 6, 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it works.
So it really is fine.
Everybody have to be involved.
I think we have a standard now. Yeah. We have a standard which Dr. Lausa was explaining is now the official benchmark for education, the Ministry of Education. Yes. After all, in our days too, we've always had, there have always been specially gifted children. Sure. I think they used to call it double promotion back in the day.
Then from one class, they jump the other one to the next class.
And usually it was you come in from 1, you skip from 2 or class 2
to the next one,
till you go to Form 3.
Yes.
So, so it's because they found that we'll be wasting this guy's time.
Yes. If people, as at that time, could identify a gifted child, why not now?
I don't think we have a problem.
We don't have any problem in it. If there is sincerity,
if there is no such, if there are no such instances that unfortunately will be described as Nigerian, where people are being, kids are being forced into that particular queue, that particular line. They don't have any business being there.
There will be yardstick for measuring who is really this and who is not. Like what the minister said, most of the thing is going to be regulated from the Ministry of Education.
Yes.
I think the permanent secretary, Federal Ministry of Education, is going to handle one, is going to be the chairman of one.
Yes.
Basically, as he said, with curbing of malpractice, then we are good to go.
You know, and
so that is another major thing, malpractice. Malpractice is just a canker one that everybody needs to fight against. And if that is successfully done, then any child can go to anywhere. But one thing is that the government too should equally know that those in the remote areas, they are going to write the same exams with those in the city. So in a situation where you get to a secondary school, you see 4 teachers taking more than 11, 12, 13 subjects because there are no teachers there, no employment. It's another setback. The state should know that everything should not be federal government. There is a local government autonomy now. All these things should start from the local government to the state and then the federal government. Implementation. The state should employ more teachers, qualify and well-trained teachers. And if they are teaching this learner, they can compete with anybody in Lagos or in any of the big schools around.
Now, this applies, it applies not just in the case that we were talking about exceptionally gifted children, not just that, but generally speaking,
yes.
You know, for kids who are, you know, they want to finish with their secondary level education so they can go on to university. It should, whether it is rural or not rural, what you're just saying that the standards of teaching and all of that, it should be maintained.
It should be equal, maintained.
Dr. Pele, as you are listening, this will be something of a challenge, won't it be?
No. You see, my organization was part of the broad organization led by the British government. It was called a SPIN. We took time to create a system in the Federal Ministry of Education, you know, and it was a very robust system that caters for some of these methodologies and mechanisms and all that. It's there. There's a whole division on quality assurance and compliance, and they are thoroughbred professionals. You know, I have been part of the committee at one level of the National Council. So I'm talking about Federal Ministry of Education. I don't know much about the State Ministry of Education, but however, I know that there's always a convergence where every state and the Federal Ministry of Education, chaired by the minister and the Minister of State, it's a very, 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 one of the oldest council. I think they're probably going to be 70-something years old, you know, in terms of the council meeting. So there's a robust system in Federal Ministry of Education. I think what we should be looking at, and I promise you I will try and make that happen, I'll probably go to the minister to see how I can persuade him to come on your show and explain these things. It's there. All the mechanisms are there. All the systems that can checkmate some of the issues that we're raising here are available, you know. Can we implement them, activate them? We can, if we want to. So all the indices, all the data, the things that we need to ensure that this is workable and doable are laid out completely. And like I said, my organization supported Federal Ministry of Education, and we wrote the inclusive education policy. And today that policy is being implemented by Federal Ministry of Education. You know, there's a presidential committee headed by a very lovely lady, Dr. Folake, I think that's her name. You know, I'm the co-chair with the secretary to Disability Commission. You know, so the only problem I keep saying, Yore, is that government is doing quite a lot, but they are not coming out to say it, and that's a disservice to any administration, not only Bola Tinubu. You know, there should be a deliberate policy to educate the public, like Doc did say. You know, It's not just national orientation. Ministry of Education can do something about it, you know, and champions of education like us will be on hand to help to be able to educate the public.
Would you agree, Dr. Norman, that ministries, and in particular right now we're talking about the Ministry of Education, tend to be a bit slack when it comes to, you know, putting out their achievements, or are they being troubled by official protocol? You know, sometimes you read something and they'll say that somebody who said, don't mention my name, because I'm not allowed to speak, you know. So, but this is what I think is going on. I don't know. Is it the ministers or the commissioners in the states that are dropping the ball, or the ministries themselves should have their own organs, you know, with which to propagate these ideas?
Yeah, no, with this new policy now, I think everybody must be up and doing. Like Lagos State Ministry of Education specifically, they are doing a lot. They are doing a lot. I know there is always bureaucracy. Yes. This bottleneck procedure and bureaucratic aspect is always there in every ministry. But then, one will expect this. You have to blow your trumpet if you really want people to know. There are inspectors outside. There are members of this monitoring and investigation outside. They move from one school to another. You see, if the system is working, it's just a matter of some inspectors and the rest going from one school to another, checkmating the private schools too. Because if the public schools are doing the right thing and the private schools are not, we are still going to have a little setback. So if all these people should go around and say, this is it, this is how it must be done. Okay, look, everything will go on. Look at this JAM. It was this policy, this JAM issue yesterday that brought up this idea. Yes. Like, you know, cut off 150 for universities, 100 for colleges and College of Education and Polytechnics, 140 for nursing, and so on and so forth. If you look at that cutoff, you discover it's going down. Before, the cutoff, they will say 180. 200, like Unilag.
And that's over 400, right? Yes,
Unilag, Uniben, and some UI and the rest, they will say it's 200. But now, because of the poor performance in JAM, you see, it's now going down 150, 100. We never had it good like that during our time. It's 200, you get it or you don't go to anywhere. So all these things you have to come into play. Because if there is an emergency on education, yes, where everybody will, the paraphernalia of office well exhibited to make sure the objective is achieved, then there will be no problem. This aspect of say 150 for university, which those days 150 was for College of Education and the rest, the thing is now going down. Instead of, it's okay, 200 cut off for so and so, and then you know the kind of people.
All right.
The methodology must be there. That the pedagogy. Yes. They should make sure everything works well, so that the standard of education in Nigeria should be comparable to any other countries.
Which it used
because
to be.
I remember those days that
yes,
some people from Ghana and the rest area, they come to Nigeria to get their education. Okay. But we are now going to all these places to get our own. Something must be done, and now it should be done now, so that we don't become, Nigeria, we are a very big country. And with the president in power now, with the minister for education, we'll get there. Okay. We'll get there, I'm very sure.
Let me take a quick break. Do please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Uncle Yeri, I have to thank you and your station first. Last night, I was able to watch the education summit that the Minister of Education organized. I watched it on your YouTube channel. And I saw everything that happened there. The 6334 system that we already have has already given credence to this 16 years minimum age that has been set for university admission. They are supposed to be 6 years of age when you start primary school. You spend 6 years in the primary school, that's 12. So, the 6334, 3 years in the junior secondary, and then 3 years again in the senior secondary. You're already 16, so you should be able to go to the university or the tertiary institution if you pass, if you have. But one thing, Uncle Yori, that worried me is about the cutoff mark for colleges of education. 100. If you score 100 out of 400, then you are admitted. And students that go into colleges of education, they come out to be teachers. So if you are lowering the admission point to 100, what quality of teachers are we expected to have? That brings me back to this, our standard of quality of education that we have right now. Mm-hmm. You will see that most of our graduates are not employable. When they leave school and they go into the employment market, the employers reject them because they will say they do not meet their standards. I think that is where attention should be directed. The quality of education starts from the quality of the teachers that we have. Then the minister should also go further to address the issue of corruption in our educational system, especially at the private school level. People are buying education for their children. They are buying marks for their children. The school does not have a way to control the parents, but they have a way to ensure that standards are followed. I like what the JAMB registrar is doing. He's putting so much technology into place to check people who want to shortchange the system. Yes. I saw everything that he presented yesterday. That will help to ensure that unless you actually meet the standards set, you cannot get admission, and everything must key into the system. He is trying on their own, but the schools themselves should also come in to address the issue of corruption in our educational system. The standard has to go high. How do you become a graduate, Uncle Yori, and you cannot write a memo? Yeah. When I was in service, government service, I was in an employment panel that we recruited somebody that brought a first degree and asked him to draft a memo. He couldn't draft a memo to say, I am requesting so and so from a store. And you say you are a graduate? So this is why they are not getting jobs. We need to address that one. The minister should pay more attention to address quality and corruption in our educational system. That's the way I see it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing that perspective. Dr. Pele, coming to you, that's an important point, because here we are, we're talking about the non-negotiable, quoting the minister, the non-negotiable age of admission to tertiary institutions as 16. But here it has sort of opened up into the quality of education is also very much important, because we were able to talk about specially gifted people when we were talking about these particular ages, 14, 15, wanting to get into university, until they've now said that, look, it's going to be 16, and there's no negotiation about that. But what do you think about the lowering of standards, as was pointed out? We've always had it with us, by the way, as you know, when JAM is not the same all over the country. It might well be that the cutoff points in Lagos or Anambra, for instance, are different from the cutoff points which are much lower in some other states. What does this say to this whole search for qualitative education?
Yeah, Yori, I was struggling to hear you. I think your studio needs to boost your own volume a bit. But if you can hear me, I got your question.
I'm afraid we can't hear a word. I don't know if you can hear us, Dr. Pele.
I can hear you, but I don't know what's going on.
Okay. I think we just heard you very lightly now. Could you just say some more, please? Okay. Maybe they can bring it up. Please continue, sir.
I think it's your studio. So that said, I wanted to bring some level of balance and, if I may call it, correction.
Okay.
I don't think that the lowering of those standards are because of poor performance. I speak from the point of knowledge. JAM, I'm very close to JAM management, very close to Professor Loyode, and Professor Olede is a very, very innovative individual, has a very innovative mind. So he's constantly researching things, constantly deducing the situation. And what we found out is sometimes that the cutoff mark sometimes is highly overrated. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but it's highly overrated. And so we need to move with the trend. We need to move with the time. So if there's any places where we need to adjust a bit to bring balance to the system, then it can be done.
Jake, sorry to interrupt you, but could you shed a bit more light on your understanding of highly overrated? What does that mean?
So there is a constant research, knowing, well, let's say, for instance, you're asking for 200 cutoff mark, and the person is going into engineering. Is there anywhere we can, without compromising the standard, without giving the student the impression that they can perform poorly and get admission? Was there any way we can balance it so that we have a scientific proof that this particular benchmark, in terms of cutoff mark, can be used in admitting a student, And I think that's what an institution like JAMB, I don't know all the institutions, it consistently carries out the research to come up with this solution. Take, for instance, my group. We meet every week, throughout the year, every week. Of course, if you know Professor Okebukola, he's a no-nonsense man, We meet every week. He does research. He's into cybersecurity. There's a feedback we get every now and then to test the decisions that we're going to make. There's a saying that if you're well-informed, then you make well-informed decisions. And I think that's what happens. And I'm talking about a sector that I know very well. So it has nothing to do with poor performance or trying to compromise because there is poor performance. No, it's just the constant research of knowing what the situation is and how we can ensure there's a level playing field for people to participate. Okay. It's of no use giving such a high mark that does not give students the opportunity to get into the institution. It doesn't make sense to me. Rather, is there any way we can balance it without, and I make a caveat, without compromising the standard?
Okay, we have a caller on the line. Let me bring him in. Good morning, and thank you for holding on. Who's on the line?
My name is Ibrahim calling from Mina.
Okay, you're very welcome. Please go ahead. Go ahead, please, Ibrahim.
Yes, okay, the 15 years minimum age. 15 years minimum age of entry qualification. Age qualification to university. I think to me it's okay, well okay.
Okay.
But where we have our challenge as far as education is concerned is that education is on concurrent list, particularly at that very level where local government and state government have to come in. That at that point is so appalling that most of the states and local government are not giving importance. They are not giving attention to education. So this has affected, because the point we are discussing now, the discussion we are having is based on the basic and primary secondary education. And when you go to most of the states, you will see that the learning environment, the teachers are not just there. The learning environment is very worrisome. That's why people have to push their children to mainly to public, to private schools. And you see that the shortcut people are looking for is that the competition becomes high. Because, again, when you talk about the cutoff point being low, to me, it is just open that this is the minimum that you can go. Minimum this is the minimum you can go. So university will have equally come and have their own criteria to take admission. But it is not because the standard is falling. But one of the challenges I have is the issue of education. That is colleges of education. People who are going to teach. So when you are talking about falling standard again, people who are going to teach the students are now not giving attention. It should even be there that you are having 100 and 200 before you can get there. So the government should try and elevate and reconfigure colleges of education in such a manner that they can deliver. They can deliver because it is like the last person. And when you continue to have the last person going to teach the last person, that system will definitely not produce the best we are thinking of as a society. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I don't know, did you want to comment?
Yes.
I'll come to you, Jake, in case you also wanted to.
You see, the last speaker actually really he said it all. You see, that aspect of cut-off bank, we are not saying is, very low or so.
Okay.
But this aspect of inferiority complex will set in. Like if you watch, I was a provost of a college of education, a private college of education, for 2 years plus. I know how those students who are there feel. Some of the students in the university and those in colleges of education, they have the same 5 credit at a sitting or at 2 sittings, and the admission processes are the same, only they did not get admission straight to the university. So at times they don't say, oh, now if we did not get admission in any of the universities, let us go to colleges of education. It kind of reduced their morale. But nevertheless, in all the educational courses in colleges of education, it's the same thing in universities. And before you can be a teacher, there are so many things you have to pass through. You cannot give what you don't have. So you have to pass through psychological, mental, and everything before you can be a teacher. That is why you see the teaching practice that is being organized for students learning educational courses in the university is always very strenuous, so that they will be able to know what to teach, when to teach, and how to teach, and manner of approach to students.
Okay.
Because psychologically, if you are dealing with a student like some of the cases we see in some private schools and the rest, where a teacher will start beating students, bullying students, calling student names, you can never do well and all those things, whereas you are not God, he tried to dampen the morale. What we know, there is politics in education, there is corruption in education, and there is inferiority complex in education.
Okay.
The government, we should try as much as possible to highlight discover this kind of inadequacies and work towards it.
Okay.
Like Dr. Ekwele said, he said, give constructive criticism, not just criticizing without providing solution.
Okay.
College of Education, there was a time they said, if you are in College of Education, you should get some certain amount of money that government will be giving to you. Like the latest one, if you're in technical colleges, there is a certain amount of money you will get every month. It boosts their morale. It makes them feel not inferior to the people in the universities.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm so sorry because Mr. Oseni has been waiting. He's in Jos. Good morning, Mr. Oseni.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much, sir.
How is work today?
Oh, very well, thank you.
You're welcome. Uncle Yori, based on this subject, I just want to say some few things.
Okay.
The few things are, you see, the standard when we talk of education in Nigeria, Nigerians are known to be very intelligent people. We are blessed with a very high and highly intelligent people. I'm telling you this. God has given us a lot of favor, both a human and capital, everything. But the issue now is this. When you talk of education, why learning environment, it means a lot. You see a lot of people that are neglected here in Nigeria, even the JAM, they cannot even pass to have access to the university. But do you know that if they can go somewhere, they are striving based on written and a very honest kind of vetting that they have in some of the university, they come out, if not the best, to tell you that we have intelligent people. Therefore, it is our system. The system we are managing is very, very poor. Until we work on that very system before we think of even its cut-off point is nothing to me. The years of 16 is very okay. But the issue is that when these people go there to go to some of our universities today and see what is going on there, I'm telling you, it's just that we don't want to call names. When you look at the environment, the learning environment, it has a lot of impact. I've seen somebody that was neglected for quite a long time. He managed to get into the university from the secondary school. Why do you know it affects him? It's due to the environment he came from the secondary school. This person is not having access to the learning, let's say the learning activities in terms of very, very current one. He manages on his own to go there, even the jam. He doesn't have the learning materials. He just do on his own. No practical, nothing. Then he keep on failing. But the moment, you know, when he get to university, where God bless him, one day he got there, he came out the best.
All right.
What can you say about that one? Is it the cut-off point or is it the standard that is affecting most of these people? Go to university today, the money that universities are collecting, if you go to some of the universities, you see the number of students. Students are hanging outside to take lecture, and you want that person to perform. Engineering courses and practical courses, students are hanging. Professors today will tell you that they are going on strike. There are no infrastructural development. Give them the money. Who is accountable for the money? What are they doing with it? Some of them have gone ahead and opened even private schools rather than concentrating in those universities and give them best. So it's a whole lot of systems that have to be addressed.
Okay.
We cannot be talking about jam, cut-off point, and all these things. Let us do the real thing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Oseni, for calling in from Jos there. Jake, I was going to come to you. What?
Yes.
Is there a reform in education, or is a reform needed? Because a lot of those things that were talked about just now by Mr. Oseni, most people sort of are aware of the situation. And it sort of keys into with what you were saying earlier about you hope the cutoff marks are not being overrated. I say that against the backdrop of people living here, for instance. When I say here, I'm talking about Nigeria. And they suddenly become star pupils abroad somewhere. And so you begin to wonder, if this same person had been here, maybe something might have happened to them. But now they've gone to a certain environment. It's not just with our students, even our police officers. They say they went and did a special service somewhere, they come out in flying colors. Why? How are those things happening where there's special mention for Nigerian entrance?
Look, sometimes we hold on to a certain view. There's this school of thought that you cannot be a crocodile. It's not possible for you, a crocodile in Nigeria, and going to, or a lizard in Nigeria and going to New York to become a crocodile. I think there is a flip side to that ideology, because environment matters.
It does.
I mean, I do have sight impairment, and I do have a number of challenges as a person with albinism, which I'm very proud of, that does not allow me to exist in certain area or do certain things. Like I can't go out in the hot afternoon to play football. That's suicidal. I can pick up skin cancer in the course of time. And so environment matters. The difference between those gifted children in the States who are Nigerians who are doing very well, and I met one of them, one of the best doctors in Philadelphia is a Nigerian,
Okay.
very well to do. He trained here as a doctor before he went over, and he's not even prepared to come back. I had a chat with him. He said, I'm not coming back. Why? The environment is not safe for that individual. Yes, to operate.
Yes.
I mean, this guy is from my place. He's doing so well, recognized by, there's another guy in Texas, Uche, who is running a celebrity restaurant that the President of America, you see it on his wall, the President of America gave him recommendations and all that, Guy, are you coming back home? No, I don't want to come. Why?
All right.
The environment is not safe for me.
Yeah.
All kinds of things. And I think we are running out of time, but I wanted to talk about...
We have run out of time. It's not continuous tense. It's past tense. We have run out of time.
I think we need to focus on TRN, Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria.
Okay.
They are responsible for training teachers and qualifying them.
Okay.
There's a need to throw such light on that.
We're going to have to leave it there, Dr. Pele. I beg your pardon. I know I'm being so impolite now, but you know I'm not like that. It's the exigencies. Thank you very much, Dr. Jake Ekpele, policy analyst. And let me also thank you, Dr. Sylvester Enome. I want to thank you very much, for contributing your expertise, consultant, former education consultant, management consultant, and former director of education, Lagos State Ministry of Education.